What's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Mardek, and last time we made our way into the Dream Realm version of Canonia Woods, flipped this here switch. However, now we still have several chests that we'll be looking to check out here, 6 in fact. So, let's head on out. And we have a few new items that we've been putting on people. Namely, that includes Flame Tongue on Mardek, which we did get way back in the Fire Temple, and yet only now start to use it. So it'll be good to get the chance to try out the new skill that supplies us with. However, Donovan might be able to take care of this Forgotten Face by himself. Not quite, though. Meridor likely will. That does mean that Mardek, what with you being our slowest character at the moment, might be a while until you're actually able to use that ability. Everyone else might kind of beat you to the punch here. Sorry to say. But Vern has a couple of new items as well. But with us having gone into the Lost Monastery and picked up both a new sword and chestplate for him. But he's also on the slower side. Ooh, speaking of slow, well, everyone in the party is going to be slower than this Carpioneros. And they target Vern with that first attack. I'm assuming we're probably still using the same approach this time. Probably going to use a Blaze against this guy, because it does have a high chance of evading, meaning that if you were to use physical attacks, it might be tough to take it out. Fortunately, no dodging the spells, and therefore goes down relatively quickly. Okay, is there anything up here? I don't think we can necessarily see the end of this path just yet. And there is a chest up here. It is a Fig Juice. Restore 2,000 HP, so not bad at all. Let's head back to this section over here. Another Forgotten Face. Means likely more Blaze. In fact, that's enough by itself. I was expecting Meridor to need to go as well, but no need this time. Now let's take a look as to what we might want to do this time. There are no chests, at least not in the immediate area here. But if this is anything like the non-Dream Realm version, then there should be other spots over here. That is just a mushroom. A glowing, iridescent mushroom, yes, but nothing to loot from it. Okay, here we have a battle against several people. So let's blaze everyone. But this might be an opportunity for Vern and Meridor to take a turn. Depending on whether or not Meridor take people out here. Vern and Mardek, that is. Meridor, you've had plenty of opportunities. Don't pretend you didn't just take all those people out. Okay. Then a Wisp Stone. We have picked up a few of these thus far. It's a sliver of a gem that is very light, almost without substance. Seems to be made from crystallized ectoplasm. Okay. Then from here, looks like we might be headed back up north. And this path was winding in the non-Dream Realm version of the forest, and it is also in the Dream Realm version. Fitting, I suppose. And let's actually try going up and to the right here. This originally would have been the way out of the forest. This Forgotten Face, though. We have these guys. Hit it with some fire, then that should be enough. Okay. Anything in this direction? I'm afraid not. It is purely a dead end. So that is one difference between the Dream Realm and non-Dream Realm versions. Anything on this side? You can see the chest over there. We will need to go through a Carpioneros first, and again, it targets Vern. Vern's like, please. Can you give someone else a turn? I took the hit last time. But he does level up. So there is that. It was an odd level, meaning that he will definitely not gain any RP from it. Here is a physical runestone, which is a valuable crafting resource. One that I don't think we've yet had the opportunity to use, but maybe sometime in the near future. Okay, this time it goes after Mardek. But once again, Donovan can take it out, no problem. Donovan, however, after using a lot of blazes in all these battles, starting to run a little bit low on MP. So let's bear that in mind. We might need to use an MP boosting item in the not-so-distant future. And I think down and to the left is the only direction we have remaining here. Or these guys. Donovan, targeting multiple people with a blaze means you're going to go through almost all of that remaining MP. Curse on Meridor, that is unfortunate because that means no flamethrower. And you do have the holy water, so you could get rid of it here. However, I'm thinking you might actually pass here. Let's hold on to the holy waters because we don't have a bunch of them at the moment. Burn, fortunately, evades that one, but I was partially thinking that this would be an opportunity for Vern and Mardek to finally get a chance to go. So Vern has his new Divine Glory ability, which deals holy damage based on Vern's level and spirit stat. So that's new, as well as Lay on Hands, which channels divine magic through the hands to heal wounds and cure curses and zombification. Potency is based on level and spirit stat, can only be used in battle. So we can only use this in battle. Why not use it here? Heal up Meridor and get rid of that curse, more importantly. Now Mardek, you have your new Fire Slash ability, which magically enchants your sword to inflict fire elemental damage. Basically the same idea as Water and Air Slash, just the fire version. So, what are we thinking in terms of which one we want to target here? 30 defense on the Forgotten Face versus only 20 on the Whim means it probably makes more sense to go for the Whim. And down it goes. And then Donovan, as we were saying before, you are almost entirely out of MP. If we were to use a flame, that would get you to quite literally 0. Oh, and it's not quite enough. Okay, well, Meridor, you do now have the ability to use Flamethrower once more. So at least there's that. But we will definitely need to use some of that MP restoration after this fight here. Meridor actually masters the defensive 10% magic reaction. And let's make a point here of throwing on whether it be a few mana berries for Donovan. These are 50 MP apiece, or possibly even an Ether for 100. You could definitely use as much as 100. The question is, do we have enough mana berries to perhaps just load up on those? And the answer appears to be no. So in that case, I think it is absolutely an Ether. So let's do that. And here is another one of those chests. This time a purple conch. As for down all the way over here, what will we find? This was originally the way into the Tainted Grotto. Harpian Arrows this time targets Meridor. And we can go back to using blazes. However, might we be okay with just a flame? Saving some MP? The answer is yes, actually. Was a little bit close, so on some occasions we might be getting a little too clever. Might get us into trouble. But at least that time round, it was okay. Here's another one of those chests, and this time a Healthy Juice, which is a potion that gives the regen status. Then, I think we're getting close to picking up everything here, but as we can see, there seems to be one more thing in the bottom corner here, and another path in this direction. Not sure where that will lead. But let's check it out. This time, another Harpian Arrows. But at least those physical attacks, they aren't so bad. And will we be able to get by with just a flame? Yes. This time, we can. Okay. And it was down into this direction, I think, where we saw the chest. So this time, a magic runestone. So again, powerful crafting item. And that looks like a cave down there, if I'm not mistaken. Like I said, originally that would have been the way into the Tainted Grotto, but, well, unfortunately, it seems that at the moment we cannot get over there right now. There's no way through the forest. So, what we might want to do is say, head back on through this dream circle, go back into the normal Nonia version of this area, Now, with all these guys, I think it is probably worthwhile to transition over back to Blaze for a little bit more damage. That way we can take out at least one of these wins, Donovan. Lots of Fig damage, which is, of course, a little bit difficult to defend against, because although these spells are terribly strong, these guys are relatively low-level enemies compared to some of the other people we've been fighting recently. There aren't a lot of ways to stack up that Fig resistance. So let's head back to the Dream Circle, switch back to the normal version of this forest. Double Carpioneros. Don't think we've seen any of these yet in this go-round. I was gonna say, we just keep on targeting Vern. This time, if we are to use a double version of the ability, targeting both people, I think we would have definitely needed to use the Blaze because it would have lowered our damage. Would probably not have been enough with the Flame. It does, of course, mean that Donovan's somewhat limited spirit, or MP rather, goes down a little bit faster. And well, we could try to get clever here. I'm almost certain it won't be enough damage if we were to just go with the Flame, but we can test it out. Since these guys have already gone, it's not like we're at risk of having them take an extra turn if we were to, say, wait for Meridor to clean up. Yeah, there you see, Meridor certainly does have a large amount of fire damage. That was, of course, with Donovan's less powerful of his 2 fire spells, but still a lot more damage from Meridor. So if we head back down this way, let's just double check. It is down and then to the left here in order to make our way back over. First, though, these guys. So let's Blaze again, and Donovan, you are already almost down to 0 MP. Now, of course, Donovan can use physical attacks. It's been a while since we've done that with him. But as we've said before, between him and Charla, they are both a little bit of hybrid characters between physical attackers and magic users, but Donovan is a little bit more of a natural physical attacker, what with his strength being a little bit higher than Charla's. So now that we are back in the normal version of the Canonia Woods, let's try going in through here, which again would be way into the Tainted Grotto normally. Could even just use the world map to do that. In fact, technically speaking, would be a little bit faster if we were to do this. And then this, bringing us into the Tainted Grotto and allowing us to use the Save Crystal, notably to restore some MP. And it's been a long time since we were in here. Still no physical defenses on Meridor is alarming whenever someone uses a physical attack against him, then we don't have a reaction. So we could go back to Blazing. However, I'm thinking these guys might be weak enough that we can get away with just a Flame. And the answer to that is almost, but not quite. Unfortunately, Mardek does take the poison there, but more than enough damage on the flamethrower, that's for sure. Okay, we did pick up an antidote, yes. Now remember that of course Mardek can just use Remove Taint to get rid of that. But bear in mind, we saw that Vern was using Lay on Hands to heal and remove that curse from Meridor earlier, but this is something that you can only use during combat. Also doesn't remove poison, so on this occasion, not relevant, but in that way, Mardek is a little bit more flexible than Vern with those healing and status removing abilities. Not to mention, Vern's cost a lot more MP, I believe. So we saw that even though Vern had only used one skill, actually burned through a pretty sizable amount of MP when he did use that ability. So, why are we in here? The answer to that is because there is also a Dream Circle here in the Tainted Grotto, and this is a pretty huge area, so I think we may find that there's a lot of things to do if we were to, say, go through that circle. And what with this being a large area, just making sure we're headed in the right direction. And that was this the spot? No. was going to say, this was the spot here where we found one of the keys to make our way into the Trilobite Cave back in Chapter 2. The secret key, at that. Okay, and that grill is actually fire elemental, of course. We did see that the flame was not quite enough to take out the balloon in the previous fight. That is still the case, and it actually heals this grill. So that means that, well, Meridor, you could finish off the balloon with the flamethrower, yes, even if I don't hit the reaction. But it's going to take someone else to take out the grill. And so, Vern, we could do serious overkill here and use Divine Glory. Talk about using up a bunch of MP. 25. We have boosted Vern's Spirit quite a bit here, so he does have 180. So maybe it's not a huge amount, but like I said, pretty overkill here, but in the name of getting close to mastering the ability. Okay, and then I think someone else picked up a poison, is that right? Meridor did, okay. So let's heal that one off with a removed tank. And we're headed back up in which direction exactly? Actually, down. And right through here. And yes, we saw this in Chapter 2, and didn't know what to do with it. Now, however, we can teleport ourselves into the Dream Realm and see what is a 7-chest area, likely a pretty huge one at that. So, here's our first chest. Phoenix Pinion, stronger of the Phoenixes. That's a good pickup already. As for what we'll find down here, well, go in any of a number of directions. Maybe let's go left first. And we do still have a save crystal. There was one in the normal Tainted Grotto, but there is one here too, which is convenient. Especially, like I said, well, with this being such a huge area. Arbian Eroses, whatever the plural of that is. Every time it's Vern. At least for the first one. And they usually pick someone else for the second. Okay, so we tried using flames in the past. Could do that here. It's definitely not going to be enough damage, no. But, like we were saying before, it's not like they're going to take an extra turn. We have to rely on Meridor to finish them off. So in that way, we should be fine. And so this is where we originally, of course, fought the World Saviors the original time in Chapter 2. And so here we find the Dream Realm version of them. So prepare yourselves. No, I'm kidding. Fortunately, that is not a thing. So, there is still a chest down here. Yeah, just imagine what the Dream Realm version of the World Saviors would be. More magic runestones. Sure thing. Then, that was the bottom left corner. We'll see where else we go next. Flame, I don't think it's going to be enough in and of itself. Might have needed to go Blaze there, but actually, Meridor is fast enough to go next, so it might not matter. It doesn't. Okay. And why don't we take the chest that is down here next? Through this windy little path. That is, once we take out the Forgotten Faces and Winds. That time the Blaze does take out actually both Winds, in fact. Flamethrower. Can also finish off the Forgotten Face. No problem. Okay, so let's see what this one's all about. And it's an Ether of Queens for 200 MP restoration. We were talking about how we had to use one of our last MP restoring items on Donovan earlier, and that's an even more powerful one there. But we'd probably like to avoid doing that when we're just going through a random area here. Okay. This was originally the area that led through to where we found the Shaman. 3 Forgotten Faces this time, before we can check out what is over here exactly. It seemed like there was a save crystal, and once again, this was an area that did have a save crystal back in the non-Dream Realm version. But is there anything else? Also, we went back here after having fought the shaman and picked up the Geo Jacket. There's Clarity mastered for Vern. Interestingly, we cannot get over to this area. There is a Dream Circle, yes, but it is blocked off at the moment. So we'll have to see if there's another way over here. And Vern, what with you having mastered Clarity, we should probably take that off there, and we didn't have a second miscellaneous item on Meridor. Probably should do something about that. We are, of course, now standing at a saved crystal, and therefore could perhaps swap in some new items from our item storage or from someone else's inventory, if we are in need of such a thing, because I think we were at a bit of a loss when it came to having other useful items with which to master new abilities. So, Vern, have you mastered Vim? You haven't, for zombification immunity. I tend not to prioritize this one very much because typically it's only in very niche scenarios that people get zombified, and generally speaking you can see it coming when that's going to be relevant. So I generally don't feel as though it's all that necessary to have this one mastered. You can just throw one of these bone stones on when necessary and that'll be that. So maybe let's take a look at our item storage here, see what else we can throw on. I'm thinking maybe just something that gives us another kind of status immunity. That way, we can more or less just replace the Clarity that Vern was working on. Or we could do plus 20% MP if, say, Vern doesn't have that already, but I bet he does. Yeah, that was a pretty high priority one before. Does he have plus 1 spirit? It's simple. He does, though. I was going to say that, as we were saying before, is useful. But with us having reason to stack spirit on him. Resist Tether, he actually went a reasonable way towards mastering this. Oh, because he currently has it equipped, that's why. It does also have more spirit on it, so that could be helpful as well for that reason. Solar, yes, does have the plus 6 spirit Azure Stole, so that could be something we could throw on. The only thing is, Vern still needs to learn Lay on Hands from his current chestplate. That one is, of course, an active skill, whereas plus 3 spirit is a passive, and therefore, even if Meridor and Donovan are stealing all the glory, Vern could still master this ability, whereas harder to do that for Lay on Hands, if he doesn't get the chance to take any turns. So that could be a reason to still throw that on. But is there something else, perhaps, that might be even more worthwhile? Has Vern mastered Locomotion? That might be something we could go for here. The answer is no, and that does give him plus 3 agility, which means he might now become faster than someone like, say, either Meridor or perhaps even Donovan, which might give him more opportunities to use some of his new abilities. So that seems like a decent idea there. And then Meridor, we had something else that we wanted to put here for you. As to what that ought to be, good question for that one. I think Meridor has not mastered nearly as many abilities. Say something like Antibody. He has not yet mastered that. So we could go that route. So let's make sure we equip those abilities. And for Vern, taking off Clarity and putting on Locomotion. And for you, Meridor, we could take off Vim and put on Antibody instead. You actually could use a plus 1 attribute of some variety to use that 2 remaining RP that you have here, but I don't think you will have enough spots on your miscellaneous category to use one of those. So, where does that leave us? Well, we don't know how to get over to that area because it is blocked off, at least in the Dream Realm. So let's head back, because there are, of course, many other chests in this area here for us to still take. One whim down. Vern does go next, so perhaps more of an opportunity for him to use things like Lay on Hands or Divine Glory. Divine Glory is coming from the sword, whereas Lay on Hands is coming from the chestplate, and as we saw, we have several other chestplates that we might want Vern to use, namely the Stoles. So even though it doesn't really help us all that much here, we could make a point of using Lay on Hands just to get close to mastering that one early. Does mean that these guys will have a chance to take some turns and deal some damage, yes. But we can just go back to having Meridor take him out. The additional agility on Vern, though, gives us the opportunity to have him still take a turn every now and again. So now we are going down, back past the original World Saviors fight location. And this time, down and to the left, perhaps. Uh-oh. A pixie. We saw how much trouble they can give us. We did just take off confusion immunity for, I believe it was Meridor. Pixie goes twice here. And Donovan hits himself with a crit. Vern hits Donovan. Meridor just gets confused and does nothing. So, Donovan is pretty hurt right now. Mardek, you are the only person who did not take damage there. Remember that the Pixies, one of the reasons why they're so tough to take down is because they have 60% evasion, as well as resistance to a lot of elements. Complete resistance at that. So, that means that Mardek, this is going to be a little bit tricky for you to take him out. Might we perhaps wish to heal? And we did see on some occasions that healing was enough to remove confusion on people. It's enough for Mardek to level up. Some people are still confused here, though. Pixie Flame, does that remove the confusion? The answer is no. I'm looking at Vern in particular, because Vern, as we saw, dealt a lot of damage to everyone else. And so, well, Donovan, you could use a Blaze and deal some damage with that, yes. That's not gonna, well, deal any damage at all, though, because 100% fire resistance. So, the real problem is getting Vern to be unconfused. And do we have a way to remove said confusion with, say, a remedy? I think we would have to resort to doing that, and I think it is worthwhile. Because if we don't, Vern will destroy the party from the inside out, I believe. And Divine Glory, it is light elemental, meaning there's no resistance there. If we can get the chance to actually land a hit through that 60% evasion, then I think that is the way to go. And we did do it. Okay. If we had not pulled it off there, if Vern had missed, then could have seen that Pixie turn right around, confuse everyone again, and would have been difficult. Would have been difficult. So that is one reason why I was a little hesitant to take off the confusion immunity from Meridor. Because having a few more people who would not get confused, well, helps out in those scenarios when you run into things like Pixies. So we could head back to the Save Crystal, which might be worthwhile. Because we did just take a little bit of damage there. And is this going to be another Pixie? Fortunately not. Definitely the most difficult of enemies that we've seen here thus far. Okay. And then down here, we've not yet explored. There's at least one chest over there. Let's pick this one up. This time another physical runestone. So getting lots of those in the Dream Realm. And lots of whims this time. Let's blaze them. And unfortunately, I don't think there's quite enough damage to just blaze. And Vern, well, I suppose we should have used a Divine Glory. That was the primary reason for us having put on some additional agility. And down here, what, if anything, do we have? We can round the corner, but I'm assuming there are still more chests in this direction. Does seem as though that is likely the case. Including one over there. How do we get there, though? Looks like possibly going up, possibly going around this way. Might not matter. More whims. More blazing. Seemingly lower damage rolls this time, so definitely still one remaining. Let's go back to Divine Glory here. I missed the reaction. You can see just how much of a difference that makes. Look at how much less damage we dealt when I missed the reaction. We were well over 1,000 before, and then just over 500 that time. So basically, cut the damage in half. So, interestingly, this was the way that would have taken us out of the Tainted Grotto before. There is also a doorway here in the Dream Realm version, and it is also a large area with 7 chests. let's maybe finish up things in the previous area first, because we have not yet gotten all those chests. This time, the Carpioneros decides to go after Donovan, which Vern is very thankful. Donovan says, hey, hold on, I didn't sign up for that. Okay. Let's head back in there. And we know there's one chest here. We have this unexplored area in this direction as well. So let's pick up those. See what else we can find, and then, yeah, there are a couple areas in here. In addition to this spot, of course. So this is actually one of the largest areas in the Dream Realm. Of course, Dream Wood probably still takes the prize there. Double Carpioneros. Donovan again this time. Also Mardek. And do we need to blaze, or could we perhaps just flame? Dial it back a little bit. Maybe give other people the opportunity to take a turn. Burn. You could give Divine Glory a shot here. I think there's certainly the chance that you might miss, because these guys have a lot of evasion, and you did. Which does pain me a bit when using a 25 MP skill, but still. Meridor. We're fine. And Mardek, going last, does still have very few opportunities to use the new Flame ability. So, looks like we're looking for the top right corner here. That is still unexplored. And there was a lake here in the normal version of the Tainted Grotto, the top of which had a chest. Is that also going to be the case here? Yes. This time it's a golden conch. Okay. And with that, I believe we have now picked up all the chests in this area here. We'll double check after this fight. And there we go. Just blaze is enough. Okay, and if we double check our map, we will find that yes, we do in fact have 7 out of 7 chests here. So I think that is a good place for us to wrap up this time round, and next time we'll see if we can figure out how exactly do we get into that small little Dream Realm area up north, and also perhaps explore that other area down south where previously would have been the entrance to the Tainted Grotto, but this time seems like a rather large area in the Dream Realm. So, with that, I'll catch you next time.